Hello class, welcome to 2.5B, Percents and Equations. Take a look at this for a second time. So just a little refresher of the things we talked about yesterday. When we're looking for our percents, one we're looking for, the part of the whole. And when we look at this, we're trying to figure that out by some of our keywords of, which is usually going to represent the total or the whole part of our equation, of our fraction part, and the is, which is the part, because we're always looking for these to be part of the whole. So a lot of times we'll look at that with our proportional setup as is over of. And if we look at the what, that is typically giving us a little hint as to where our variable should go. Usually it's either going to be in the is, the of, or the percent. And because we know percents are always out of 100, this is going to stay 100 no matter what. So most of the time we're going to use this proportional setup, but we do have the option to do that percent times total equals part. No matter which one you do, we want to make sure we fill that information in and then solve. Of course, if we're using the proportional, that's where we're going to do our cross multiply. Otherwise, we kind of use these equations. We can just kind of use our inverse operations. So let's take a look at a few more quick examples, get you started. So example A, when we're looking at 45% of 90 is what? Well, we start filling this out. Some of the information we know is the 45 is always over 100 because that is our percent. And then we look at of 90 is what? So your is your x, your of is 90. And then what we want to do is take the time to cross multiply and solve. So if we cross multiply here, we get 100x. Cross multiply here, we're going to get 4,050. Now we got our equation to solve where we can divide both sides by 100, leaving us with x is equal to 40.5. Remember, dividing by 100 is just a simple shift of taking that decimal place 2 places to the right. Alright, so we got that 40.5 is basically 45% of 90. Now again, use your common sense, right? If you know what 50% is, 90, so you know about halfway is 45. So if 45% is a little bit less, that makes sense that we're coming in with an answer of 40.5. Okay, let's take a look at another one. So example B, 32 is what percent of 80? So if we're looking at our is over of equals percent over 100, what we're going to want to do is let's make sure we plug that in. 32 is what percent? So the question is we don't know what percent out of 100, but it's going to be of that 48. So if we look at this 32 over 48, again, let's make sure we cross multiply. So we got 48x equals 3200. And if we divide by 48, x is going to equal, looks like 66.6 repeating, which is really 66 2/3%. Alright, let's look at another one. Example C, if we're saying what percent of 60 is 32. So if we start looking at this, what percent, again, we don't know what x is, so we know it's going to be x out of 100, of 60 is 32. So if we look at this problem here, very similar to the last one, but we're going to cross multiply and say 3200 is equal to 60x, and when we solve, we can find that x is going to equal, looks like 53.3 repeating, which can also be written as 53 1/3, and this one is a percent as well. So let's take a look at one more example, which is what number is 15% of 34? So again, if we're kind of looking at our is over of equaling our percent over 100, what we're looking at here is what number is 15% of 34. So 15 is always over 100 of 34, and the what number is going to tell us we're looking for the part of the whole. So if we look at this problem and solve, we're going to cross multiply. So we get 100x, 15 times 34, 510. And if we divide by 100, we are looking at x equaling 5.1. So, there it is, a few more examples of just getting them set up and solve. So let's take a look at a few problems in the practice. So in the practice, make sure we're going to take a look and make sure we're rounding to the nearest tenths. Now, when you get down to the word problems, we can leave them in hundreds place because they're money. But other than that, take some time to practice setting these up and working through your solving. If you want to work with your equations, you can. Other than that, good luck. Take your time. Have a great day.